All right, welcome everyone to our June SCC meeting. Let's do a roll call.
So CD1, Mr. Curfews.
Here, present.
All right, CD2.
Accounted for.
CD3, James, I know you just got in.
James St. John here.
Yep. And number 4.
Yes, I'm here. Coral.
5.
James Curtis, present.
6.
Filling in for Brian, Dean Davison, present.
Got notified that Mr. Norton will not be joining us, so CD8.
Present.
All right, 9.
Present.
10.
Yeah, this is William Ogle standing in for Mr. Repass.
11.
Present.
Dan, you are here.
I am
Jason
indeed.
Bruce. Yep, Jason Bruce, secretary. I am also here. Paul will be joining us late, very likely, and Madam Chair.
I am present.
All right, I am showing 13 present, so quorum is achieved.
Excellent. All right, we need to approve the agenda. I will say we need a correction for CD6's now Mr. Brian Heiner, not David Maurice. I didn't catch that until right now.
Then after that, I motion to approve the agenda as amended.
All right. Any questions or opposition to that? All right, hearing none, agenda is approved. All right, and approval of minutes. Mr. Bruce has said that since he sent the minutes out late, we can take until the next meeting to approve them if people prefer. Or if someone wants to approve them, I will entertain a motion to approve them.
This is Logan Hoy speaking. I'll move to table the approval of last month's minutes until our subsequent meeting.
All right.
This is Jason Bruce. I will second that.
All right. Any questions, comments? Anyone opposed? All right, hearing none, we will table approval of minutes until our next meeting. All right, I read through all the reports of people that sent them, so thank you very much. Does anyone have anything additional to add for reports? All right, moving on to committee reports. For our 50th anniversary committee.
So I believe that I'm supposed to be delivering this report, but I think that Jason Bruce may have some information he wants to add to this, given that there was an email that was circulated that I didn't know about. I mean, I've read it, but do you want to jump in there?
I feel like I'm kind of in the dark here. What email are you talking about?
So I saw that there was a poll about the choosing of a theme.
That was for nationals, not for yeah.
I was so confused. I thought we never discussed this. I don't remember discussing. Okay, all right.
That makes sense. That was for Ellen's. Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry then. Yeah, no, I'm afraid then that what we need to do is we need to have another meeting, because we left off with us adding one new person to the group, and we haven't really had many discussions since then. We did discuss our own theme, and that was kind of how we left it. And so then I saw the email and I made the connection between those two things, but I made that erroneous connection. So I have been working on some ideas for games. I've also been coming up with some ideas of who we might be able to reach out to for music. I know we want to support organizations and people who are libertarian minded, but I have not discussed this with the committee yet. So I feel we need to do that before I actually have anything else new to really deliver. But I think you guys are gonna like the game ideas. The ideas, you know, for humor, I want this to be memorable. I know we all want this to be memorable, but I think that levity and recognizing the uniqueness of the Libertarian Party is going to help set us apart from the other two parties, which are either tend to be very formal or a bit chaotic. And yeah, I wish I had more to report, but we need to have another meeting.
All right. Well, thank you. All right. Candidate Support Committee. Dean, you may be the only one from that committee on the call. I know we have.
Yeah, we haven't met. We have not met for a little while. I'm gonna reach out to them to meet again. I know we've been pushing different candidates. Obviously, trying to, you know, David Krantz is running. I know that Mr. Bartley's running, and also was it Mr. Bartley, Mr. Krantz, and they have Joshua Huffman, which I'm happy to see him in a race there. And of course, when we get to executive session, I'll explain what's going on with me. But definitely nothing else really to discuss on that. We'll figure out what's going on and go from there. We were working on pamphlets and different things to give out to people, but that was the last that I was on a meeting with them. So we haven't had one in a while. I think people have been on vacations.
All right. Well, thank you for the update. Affiliate Support Committee, Mr. Kerfies, do you have anything on that?
No, nothing new for the affiliate committee at this time. I'm still would like to find a way to replace or get a new affiliate out around Three Rivers Way, but that's about it. Nothing new to report.
All right, thank you. All right, old business. We still need a chair for our state convention for 2024. I think I've said before, I would like to be in Charlottesville. Our vice chair, Paul Bracco, has agreed to help recruit speakers for the event. He just doesn't want to chair the committee. So if no one on this call is interested, please reach out to people in your districts and see if anyone would be interested in chairing the committee. They don't have to live in Charlottesville. We just need someone basically to be in charge of all the volunteers for the convention itself.
I'll reach out to someone that may be in the Charlottesville area, see if they might want to do it. Worst case, nobody steps up. I know I've had interest in helping, but I have chaired the state. So if worst case scenario, nobody wants to step up, I'll have to step up. I'll do my duty and step up, but wait and see what happens with that.
Well, I will do it if I must, but so if I don't find anyone in the next month, I probably will just have to do it myself, but I prefer not to.
If nobody does it next month, you're the chair of the state. If you find nobody next month, go ahead and appoint me.
Yeah, Mr. Bruce.
Yeah, I mean, just because I know how much of a workload you have on your plate, I would actually strongly recommend people vote against that. I mean, you're going to have to chair the convention anyways. So, yeah, I think that you deserve at least a little bit of a break. So, just my 2 cents on that.
Me, it'll be in Newport News. So that's your choice.
There you go.
All right. Well, please get back to me if anyone has any interest. All right. In-person SCC meeting. I would like to have one in August. The James and Maria Repass have volunteered to host at their house. Does anyone know exactly where they live?
They're like north of Leesburg, very, very northern Virginia.
Okay. So I mean, that would be a free place to have a meeting. Um, but they preferred not until August. Marie is studying for her bar exam, so August would be better for them. I know for me, the first 2 Saturdays in August are out. So between the 19th or the 26th, does anyone have any preference either way?
I won't be able to attend if it's on the 19th.
Okay.
I might have a conflict, but I'm not sure which of those weekends it is. So I'll have to check my calendar.
Okay. Anybody else know of anything offhand they have either of those dates? All right. Well, I will say, at least tentatively for now, we can plan on August 26th. But we can.
Jen, I lost you.
You lost me? Can you hear me?
Can anyone else hear?
Yeah, I hear her fine.
I hear her as well.
Jason looks frozen to me.
Yeah, Jason looks frozen.
There it goes. It just came back.
Everybody's moving to me.
All right, so I was saying tentatively we can set that date for the 26th. If everyone wants to double check their calendars. If there are any conflicts, let me know. And I will check with James and Maria and make sure that date works for them. Any other questions or comments on that? All right, Mr. Secretary, merchandise and promotional items.
Yes, here we are once again to discuss this same topic. So I do think that we need to start getting the events and stuff like that squared away. So just offhand, Mr. Treasurer, do you happen to have an idea as to where we stand with our projected budget for this year? If I recall, I think the original estimate that you had provided around January was that we had around $6,000 or so to spend this year. It's either 6 or 8. I can't remember offhand. But do you have those figures by chance?
So there's a lot of things that go into a budget, and we really haven't kind of discussed what we would want to budget, what we consider free money. So right now we currently have $23,000, $24,000 rolling around in our bank account. How much we are currently making? Do a quick little. So we're pulling in probably about $1,000 a month. We do have expenses. They're usually fairly minimal, but the problem is we are currently trending downwards. And we do have seasonality like to take effect, and usually on election year cycles we're gonna see a bump. So we're in like a downward trend right now, but that's kind of expected. Unfortunately, like I've tried to pull in like past year's data to try to like get better looks at it, but it just takes time. And mainly I've been trying to find a good API for integration between Stripe and QuickBooks, which I think exists, but like I haven't had luck with it. So yeah, currently right now, I would still say I would probably aim at like, what do we feel we want to have in the bank, no matter what, to cover kind of anything. And then from that, how do we want to budget from like budget in the future?
Gotcha. No, I appreciate that, and maybe that's you know, the budgeting aspect of it is something that we can kind of, or that you know, that's your wheelhouse, brother. I'm not going to take that away from you. But in terms of, I mean, if we're on the downtrend, I mean, I would say getting out there and doing events and marketing ourselves is now even more important. So I would definitely like to see us start getting some of those promotional materials and really start pounding the pavement in terms of getting events out there, getting the LPVA name out there. We've got guys that are running for their various candidacy spots, you know, Senate, House, all that stuff. So, you know, we need to have a presence not only for the organization, but especially for them as well. And this kind of ties into the next topic, but I'm going to kind of hold off on it. But yeah, just in terms of fundraising events, etc., I would really like to get a little bit more discussion on what all we should get. But for the time being right now, I do want to propose a motion to allocate $1,200 towards promotional items that can be discerned at a later date, but just to have a budget set for that.
Yeah, I'll second that motion, Carl.
All right. Anyone have any questions or comments?
Oh,
Curtis?
so I have a question, just we're just setting aside money to determine later what it will be spent on, or I'm not sure I understand the motion.
Yeah, thanks, James. Essentially, yes. You know, that's not necessarily the best way, the best practice to do business, I know, but I do think that as long as we have at least a pot of money, if we start having some discussions on the Discord or through email or whatever, hopefully we can actually present a more formal option for the next SCC meeting, or even just to do it over the Discord itself. But at least this way we have kind of the requisite background already kind of there. That's my perspective on it.
So, Jason, would this be money set aside for any affiliate to use, or just for us as the SCC to spend money on for materials?
I would say this is LPVA money for LPVA promotional items, merchandising. I mean, we need, again, this is our organization, the local affiliates, they have their own funding. So they're kind of on the hook for that themselves, but yeah.
Do we have like I don't dislike this idea, like if we create a budget and we kind of push people in, like we can set something going, but I think we need to have like a either executive session or something about doing significant work on our membership, because that's where the lion's share of our regular income comes from, like membership dues. So that is going to be our bread and butter, and you know, the lifeblood of any organization is its membership. So I I think those go hand in hand, and if we can like either set a motion or like set something up where we have literally somebody that is just focused on bringing in new members and coming up with ways to like membership drives or whatever. Yeah, I don't mind. I mean, I would even do that. Like if that's something that I can like slot in, like I wouldn't even mind doing that, but we need to kind of come up with something.
All right, Mr. Curtis.
I'm just gonna speak against the motion. I'm not sure we need to set money aside to buy merchandise or promotional items in the future. Also, I think merchandise, if we're talking about trying to resell merchandise, those have almost always been money losers in the past. Certainly, we need promotional materials to be available at events and such. But I think we could move pretty quickly to obtain those items when they're identified. And so, again, I'm going to speak against the motion. I'm not sure we need to set a specific amount of money aside if we're not even sure what we might be spending it on.
All right, Ms. Campbell.
Is there a conflict of interest with us having any sort of sponsored content on social media? We see a lot of ads pop up for pretty much everything else. Can we do that?
I don't see why not.
That might be a good way to get a broad audience of people who are already using these products and services. Shouldn't be too hard for somebody who's got some vision and some talent to put something together and then us, you know, post it as content on, I don't know, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter. I mean, whatever everybody thinks is the best way to capture the audience that will be the most receptive. I would suggest probably Facebook because that's probably the generation that's actually voting, but anything at this point would be better than nothing.
Yeah, I don't know what those ads cost, so we'd have to do some research.
Okay.
Mr. Bruce?
All right, so I do kind of want to touch on something that Jacqueline just brought up because we do this every now and then with Central Virginia boost posts and stuff like that from Facebook. And this also is something that I put into my officer report. There's a program called Zoho Social, and it's really inexpensive. I think it's like $5 a month or something like that. But it basically allows you with, you know, one dashboard kind of control all social media posts, so you can kind of mass blast things out. So I'm definitely not opposed to anything that Jacqueline's talking about. But to James's point, I'm actually in kind of complete agreement with you. Again, like I said before, it's not really the way that I like to do business. So maybe I would offer an amendment to, well, I guess we formally actually establish an events committee? Because I kind of feel like we had at some point. I feel like this would really fall under that purview. But otherwise, I would say as an amendment, basically establish a small group to put forth a list of items, a specific line item list for promotional stuff to be voted on for next meeting. And since I'm initiating it, I would volunteer to quote unquote chair that. But the other point to James is I would not be looking at these things for resale value at all. I mean, this is, as far as I'm concerned, this is swag that's just, it's going one way, it's going out the door, and, you know, so be it. But that's all I have.
Mr. John?
So I believe in our bylaws, we have like committees have spending authority. So we really technically don't even need it. I think we just need to check the bylaws, see which ones, and then the spending authority is theoretically there. There's no means the only people that can really actually spend money is me and Jennifer. And I basically just have recurring expenses, and I bring everything that's outside of recurring to here anyways. So it's, I think that like the spending authority is technically already there. We would have to check, but like I'm pretty sure it's in our not the Constitution. I think it is in our bylaws. So
It's under a certain amount of money. I forget what the amount is. Yes, you can spend
Yeah.
without.
yeah, for like certain committees that are empowered or something like that. But again, we don't have technically the means to give them that anyway. So I'm all for, like I said, I don't mind us like doing this as a way to like push the like, you know, driving for new membership. But I don't know if it's necessary or warranted, or if it's just, you know, however else you want to look at it. It seems perfunctory.
Let's see if I can find that.
In the interim, how about this? I'll make this easy. I'm going to go ahead and just rescind my motion, and I'm going to find. I'll solicit all this on the Discord, so anybody can feel free to join in. We'll start a separate group or whatever on the Discord just to discuss promotional stuff. And then by the time we come around to the next meeting, at the bare minimum, you know, if not sooner, I'll have a list of stuff that I would propose, that's specific, line items, etc., that we can just place an order for, vote on then, or whatever. But like I said, I'll rescind this one. I'll take it to the Discord. I'm going to put together a list for next meeting at the latest, putting it on everyone's radar that this is coming. All right. One thing I don't want to do is us continuing to kind of kick this can down the road, and then next month we start talking about the importance of marketing and events and stuff like that, and then we just keep doing that over and over again. So
yeah, Jason, that's exactly what I was going to chime in and say. Is I understand the concern not allocating to specific things, but I mean, we probably need to get serious about doing something instead of kicking it down the road. I think Jason was just trying to propose a budget so we could have something to start on instead of a non-starter, and then we're having to do this all again next month. But if, you know, I understand the concern, but I think it's something serious that we need to do. I mean, we really have no assets or marketing material, and that's kind of silly and ridiculous that we should at least have something. So I appreciate the motion, Jason, but I will be glad to help you too on brainstorming on things.
All right. I don't see anything about certain committees that have.
It's cost centers.
Oh, cost. Okay.
Yeah, so cost centers are basically empowered to, you basically set up a manager and a cost center, and you say, all right, this is how much money you can have, but there's a blanket, like anything over $500 is always going to be countersigned by, I believe, either me or another executive.
Another officer.
Yeah.
And then anything over 1,500 has to be approved by the SCC.
Yeah, so that's why I was just pointing out that we could just set up something like that and maybe roll within the bylaws or whatever.
Okay. All right. Anything else on that item, Mr. Bruce?
no, ma'am, I'm all set.
All right. So new business, fundraising for our candidates. We've got 3 now, so I think it would be helpful if we could do some fundraising for them. Has anyone ever done fundraising? Yes, Mr. Bruce?
I don't mean to cut you off. I was just going to kind of outline a little bit of what Dave and I had talked to. Dave Krantz and I spoke a little bit earlier today. But I don't want to cut you off.
Go ahead. If you talk with him, that's fine.
Yeah. So Dave kind of brought this up about the possibility of doing some form of a fundraiser, not just for himself, but for all of the candidates. Essentially having something where LPVA might be interested in doing a larger, get everybody together kind of deal. And again, that could be, just kind of, spatially based off of where everybody's running. The obvious and the most close or the closest location would be surprise, Richmond. Just because we got Harrisonburg in Northern Virginia and then Portsmouth area. So this is something that I think would be good to kind of explore as an option. At the bare minimum, I would say some form of like a virtual fundraising push or something like that. And I think I'm now kind of segueing into what Jen was going to talk about for if anybody has any experience on this. So I will defer to you, ma'am.
Okay. I was going to ask if anyone had any experience doing fundraising for candidates either on a local level or statewide level that could help maybe put some fundraising letters together. And we can send out emails to our members. Anybody? Dean, when you ran, did you do any sort of fundraising or?
Well, fundraising, a lot of mine was direct, like direct people I know. When I ran for House Delegates, I was putting myself out there in different locations, trying to go to different locations to get. It's not easy. It's not an easy thing to do. Fundraising is by no means an easy thing to ask people for money, to ask anybody for money. It takes a lot of. I would not be the person to run a fundraising type thing. It was difficult. It was easier, I guess, the second time. It was easier as you get used to it. It's easier to ask people for money, but it's always if you're someone that's, you get in the political spectrum. If you're someone that's like someone that doesn't like, asking for help in this and in that aspect, it's hard to do fundraising. But the best way to do fundraising, your ideas are. I'm going to put it this way. This is the first time that I can remember the idea of pushing maybe a fundraising letter out. I know fundraising through the fire service, there was fund drives, and it was done by letters to the membership or to the community. You got all the addresses in that area, and you shift them out, and it cost a little bit of money, but it brought back good money. Yep. Political might be a little different, but letters to the people in those areas probably is a good idea. It may generate more money than, but online obviously is another way to do it. But a fundraising letter for the candidates that are running is probably not a bad idea. And we do, and there is money, unlike past. When I was the chair and all those positions stuff, there wasn't a lot of money to play with. Well, there's not money to play with, but money to utilize for targeting certain things. Talking about targeting, a fundraising letter shouldn't cost too much. Mailing is going to be the most expensive part.
Oh, I was even thinking just an email to send out.
That's even better than what's been going on. So yeah, I would definitely do it that way. But maybe, see if the candidates themselves want to go 50-50 or 75-25, they do 75%, and like LPVA puts 25% in towards, like, if they're going to mail a fundraising letter or mail letter or something like that, that could generate good stuff too in their district.
Okay. So you found that paper mailers works better?
I found that in the fire service side of things, when they spent, and we're talking about the Smith Mountain Lake area, which is a whole big area. I think they spent a total of $2,000 and got back on return $25,000. So and I was just asking for money to generate from the public to help keep operating expenses. So
Okay.
I don't know how it work politically, but it might work.
All right.
We've never really been in a position where we do much of this, so it's something that I would definitely attempt to try and maybe work with the candidates themselves to go 50-50, 75-25, something like that in on it. And if they want to do mailers, and that might actually work, and spread the LP message too.
Yeah. All right, Ms. Campbell.
So I've never ran for anything, but I have spoke at our local city board meetings, as well as the student teacher parent, kind of meetings. And it did occur to me that if I were to run for something, when you are there with all these people who feel passionately about whatever it is that you are also speaking on behalf of them for, if you happen to, while they're maybe recording this, make a speech about what you think should be happening with that particular thing, and at the end add that you are running and that you are, accepting donations, that might be a great way for them to get not only face-to-face contact with their potential supporters, but also, get free advertisement that they're a candidate and they're accepting donations. So if they want to prepare a speech, I'm sure there are opportunities for them to go and actually interact with the people who would be voting for them while they are all caught up in whatever their, particular pet policy is. That's just my suggestion.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if city council or school board meetings would allow you to solicit like that, but you can say that you're a candidate, but I don't think they'd be like, oh, I'm accepting money.
I would highly accept that probably is not a truth.
So, all right. Well, maybe I'll talk to Mr. Bartley. He is probably one of our more experienced candidates, and see if he has done any fundraising. I don't remember him doing any direct membership fundraising, but I will ask him. Mr. Bruce.
Yeah, I think that Jacqueline has a lot of really good ideas on this. I mean, even if we're, it's a little bit different from what we've done in the past or whatever. I mean, I think that we would all kind of benefit from having the conversation. Jacqueline, like if you want to, I don't want to put anything else on your plate, but at the same time, your ideas, I think they're good enough. Is that something that you could coordinate with Dean and the rest of the candidate support committee about? Just spitballing different ideas for that, because I think that the more ideas that we have, the better. So that's just kind of my 2 cents on it, but I think it's worth exploring for sure.
I appreciate that. I don't have a lot of political experience in being active, but I do have, like you said, a lot of ideas. Some of them might be trash, some of them might be brilliant. They're probably mostly somewhere in between that. But yeah, I'd be happy to, have kind of a think tank brain session with whoever is looking to move forward with this. I know people have different strengths and weaknesses, and if we're working on a string shoe budget, which, most people who are new to this will have, whatever I can do to help them get their foot in the door, I'm happy to.
And as someone on the candidate support committee, actually the vice chair of it, since Tim ain't here, I think it's a good, it's probably talk to them about getting a meeting together and invite you, and hopefully everybody's schedules works out together and we could discuss that. I think it's a good idea also. I think that was a good idea for, in the candidate support committee. I think you have really good ideas also. So I think it's something that could be definitely discussed. And like I said, Tim also has run, Charlie's run. So, all 3 of us, everybody in that committee has run for office too. So it would probably be beneficial.
Thank you. I have been at 1 or 2 other people's campaigns. They may have been Republicans, but I was still seeking an opportunity to gain experience just being in the environment. And I've definitely seen that the people who work with emotion, because politics, whether we want it to be or not, is a very emotional decision-making process. And a lot of people don't want to put their money where they don't have a lot of feelings. And if they have a lot of feelings, they'll put money they didn't even expect to put there. So if you can run with that, it seems like a good idea. But again, I'm happy to help. So thanks.
All right, thank you. All right, well, Dean, if you can get with the candidate support committee and you guys plan another meeting, I can get that information to Jacqueline and anyone else who's interested in talking about fundraising.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you. All right, discussion, Mr. Secretary, tools update.
Yes, thank you. So I was kind of going through a few things and I kind of touched on it a little bit, but one thing that I wanted to kind of go over was, again, from my officer report. I am going to pull it up here just for a quick second. But so right now we're using Zoom. There's another option called Zoho. It's about $100 cheaper per year. Zoom is currently $180. This is all the different stuff that we would kind of get out of it. The thing that I like about Zoho, because I've been using that for my own business, it's all kind of it's like a all-in-one package. It does pretty much everything from email and website domains all the way out to accounting, bookkeeping, and stuff like that. The social thing is something I think Jacqueline was kind of touching on or getting at. And I was kind of touching on this as a possible capability. Again, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, all of this stuff, all from one location, activities, calendars, content, etc. You kind of take that a step further with the marketing capacity that it has, 2,000 contacts, 6,000 emails a month. You can get 5 users on this and it's free. So, we like some of the cost associations for these things, but ultimately what I really want to do is just kind of get out of the traditional mindset of, we've got to use this one tool for this thing, this one tool for that thing. There's 100 of other things out there for us that we should, really consider using. Again, this is all about just kind of getting organized, being more of an organization rather than as much as we like the decentralized approach inside the organization, I think that we should actually be a little more organized. Just my perspective, but again, this is something that I'm going to punt to the Discord, but just the cost savings on the Zoom thing, I think is worth it. We should already consider looking at, social media or, the events, all that other stuff. So this is just kind of an easier segue into some of that. Again, just kind of food for thought, but that's going to pretty much wrap up my tool considerations for this meeting.
So that would give us the ability to advertise on Facebook and all those places for $120.
Yep. So I mean, I'm sure that we would still have to go and create accounts for all of these things, but those accounts then get tied into the dashboard, and you can kind of control all of those accounts from that one dashboard. So previously, we had, and this is another thing. I mean, we just had the IT committee set us up with an accounts email. So that is, it's something that's held by the LP now. We're not going to run into this situation of like we ran into before, where one person was controlling all of our social media, and as soon as they decided to bow out, everything that we had for the past several years on social media is now gone. So this is something that is now, it's not beholden to one person. It's, again, an organizational tool that is that's held and paid for by the organization. So all of it in one place is really just kind of what I like about it.
And it will be very easy to pass down from person to person too. And that's the other good thing about that. Like what he was saying, I've kind of heard about it, that program, but not really dived into it. But yeah, you don't want to have one person having control of things. Certain people control certain Facebook pages, and then they try to burn bridges down, and they change that Facebook name to another name, but have all that libertarian following something else then, like they did in Richmond with the Richmond page. It's this way it'll keep everything in the hands of the executive committee and whoever controls that. And as it gets passed to the new people that down the line, it'll be easier. It'll be a lot easier to pass that down than, oh, we got to get this person to get this information, this person to get this information, this person to get this information, because they're all running different things. So it's definitely a smart idea.
All right. Well, I think, let's have a longer discussion, maybe on Discord or in the SCC group. And we can always vote on that next month. So, all righty. Any other comments or questions from anybody? Ms. Campbell.
So this is related again to candidates. I kind of started tossing around an idea last year about a candidate boot camp. Now, hear me out. So the idea is that we would take whoever is the most interested in becoming a candidate and get them together with people who have ran, people who have gotten elected to positions or whatnot, local or whatever, and then create kind of a collection of tutorial videos based upon that experience that we could then post online, and could be either a subscription or you just, a potential, so we use the current potential candidates and people who have already gotten elected to create content. And then future candidates can subscribe to it or pay, I don't know, $50 for the entire thing or whatever. And then people who have watched the entire process, gone through the entire boot camp process, and paid the whatever fee we attach to it, can then, if they decide after all of that to go ahead and run, then they can get a scholarship, so to speak, from us. So it's a way to create content with the people who want this, with people who have already gotten this, so that they can help pay for themselves, but other people who come along later who want to do this. Because in my experience, what I've seen of people who wanted to become candidates, they really aren't very prepared for what that entails. There's
that was kind of my thought behind our candidate support committee. So I definitely
and I was just going to say she needs to be involved heavily in our candidate support committee, because the ideas I'm hearing from her are kind of really good. And yeah, we're going to have to definitely have you in the candidate support committee and throwing all these ideas around, because some of this stuff's really good. Some really good ideas. And there's a lot of people that have ran. If we can get Rob Sarvis to talk about like how he did stuff, that would be great too. There's a lot of different, he was the most successful person we've had run. So, I mean, we have a lot of people that have been candidates and that are candidates that could teach the new candidates. And the candidate support committee kind of has that. But yeah, I think Jacqueline needs to be involved with a lot of this, because she has some really good ideas.
Definitely. I will definitely get you guys hooked up. So, all right, Mr. Ogle.
Yeah, I just want to mention the on the candidate sort of training thing and getting input from previous people that have run before. So up here in Northern Virginia, Carla Howell has given several training sessions. I think it's called Who's Driving is what she titled it. And I was able to attend one of those. I thought it was really good. She brings some good experience. So she ran in Massachusetts, I don't know, probably about 20 years ago now. She ran for, I think she ran for Senate, but she also campaigned for a Massachusetts state referendum to abolish the state income tax. And she got 45% vote, which is just amazing for Massachusetts. Amazing anywhere really, but amazing for Massachusetts. And she ran some other things too. And I think she had some good insights and good suggestions for strategizing and how to focus your message and what to, what kind of what kind of things to include in your messaging. So I'll just throw that out there and she's given this training multiple times just in the last year or two, and she's looking for other opportunities. So I just want to put her in there as a candidate for that.
All right, thank you. All right, well, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Dan, John, motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Jason Bruce, all right, I'll give it to Dean.
All right, anyone opposed? All right, meeting is adjourned at 9 p.m.
All right, everyone, hang on. I'm gonna stop recording.